For us, it's a daily thing.
It's every day, right?
This is Mammoth Daily
We're going to take you inside the locker room
with Mike Fulta.
We want this show to be about the fans, and we want this show to be driven by our Utah Mammoth community.
And Adrian Denny.
Fans can submit what they want to hear us talk about, what they want to hear Utah weigh in on. It's all going to be here.
Here's Mike and AD with you.
Utahns, countrymen, lend me your ears.
Right here on Mammoth Daily.
Hey, everybody, welcome on in to your Thursday edition of Mammoth Daily. We have so much to get to after that 7-0 win in Anaheim. Mike's Morning After is coming up with Mike and a few guests. Sarah Merrifield, Matt McConnell, Nick Olczyk, all going to stop by and give their thoughts. It's our Thursday experts, so Nick will hang around, and he's going to talk analytics with us. We throw a lot of stuff at you in terms of analytics, the verbiage, the numbers involved. What's it all mean? Nick is going to help us out in our Thursday expert series, and Maveric Lamoureux will make you smile. We thank you for joining us. You make us smile just by tuning in on Mammoth Daily, on Apple, on Spotify, the Utah Mammoth YouTube page, on SEG Plus. We're so grateful to have you along for the ride. Make sure you're subscribed to never miss an episode. Feel free to share us, tell your friends about us. The more the merrier here on Mammoth Daily. But you want to get to that 7-0 victory over Anaheim with some of our experts on this Thursday. Mike's Morning After has company. Let's go to that to lead off Mammoth Daily here after that big win.
Coming to you victorious from the Honda Center. We got the whole crew here. Nick Olczyk, Matt McConnell, and Sarah Merrifield. Get in here, Sarah. Matt and Sarah did not have the night off. You guys show up in full regalia, ready to go? How about it?
Full support, ready to go.
We had the night off, and now you're making us work?
Gotta earn your keep. How about, let's start with you, Matty. Let's start with you. 7-0. This is just what the doctor ordered today.
Yeah, there wasn't a flaw in the game. I thought, the two new guys, Maveric Lamoureux, I thought he kept his game simple. He was good. He was effective. Daniil Boot was terrific throughout the night. I thought he showed some poise. He had some chances right around the net. But what I liked was the effort and the grit that they showed from the start of the game all the way through. Right, and there's been peaks and valleys before, but man, they were on point tonight against the best team in the Pacific Division.
Sarah, want to jump in here?
In terms of my thoughts, I mean, all to the same, yes. But I think, character win is probably the big one for me. It was one of those where they had, Ian Cole said, a really tough conversation after that San Jose game. And I think they all listened. So it's not just about talking about it, it's putting it into action. And 11 different goal scorers, 25 block shots, a season high. I mean, big numbers. We like that stuff.
It's like the Nugget Queen over here, right?
I mean, that's kind of what I do, right? Nuggets into reports. It's, whatever.
Nikki, you got anything to say?
Sarah's got more nuggets than McDonald's.
Chick-fil-A.
Oh. What's it like, guys, watching as when you're able to just sit back and watch from up top?
I gotta take this one. It's really fun to actually watch him watch the game instead of call the game. It's a little weird that I don't have someone in my ear telling me what's going on, but his observations are fascinating because, it's just normal conversation when we get to watch it. I also have a newfound respect for the vantage point that you all have. I don't get that vantage point, so that's kind of fun.
Sir, I have something to add on that. No, it's great. It's great.
That's great.
It's it's fun. It's fun to have one of those nights where you can just sit around and watch the game, right? And I think from a play-by-play guy is always watching the puck. You know that, right, Mike? And you get an opportunity to look away from the puck and see other plays develop. So yeah, it's great to do it every once in a while.
Nick was on the clock tonight. We pulled him away from the TV side. So I wanted to give you a chance to kind of blurt out your 2 or 3 or 4 cents on the big win tonight.
You're only giving me 4 cents?
That's all you need.
And you're saying I blurt? I don't speak eloquently?
You had in the,
If it was 1 cent for every cookie, I'd be about 8 cents deep, if I'm being totally honest. But yeah, I think just a complete game. And I think the easy thing in a 7-0 game is to be mesmerized by the score. But I was most impressed with how this team defended. I don't think they gave Anaheim anything. I thought Karel Vejmelka's rebound control, he had the Velcro chest going tonight because when a puck hit him, it stuck. It didn't drop. And on the occasional time that there was maybe a little fluttering rebound, Utah defensemen and their center icemen were right there to box out and allow him to see the puck. So 7 goals is great. You're going to take that 7 days out of 7. But how they defended for me was equally as impressive as the offensive output.
Guys, we're going to Disneyland.
No,
Hey,
you
why are you
know
so
what?
against
This is, guys, this is where it all started right here at the beautiful, at
Matt
the time,
McConnell's
Didn't know.
first job in
The-
the NHL.
The house that Matt built.
at way back, the Arrowhead Pond of Anaheim. It was the only thing out here. Now they're building this $4 or $5 billion entertainment complex. It's going to be
if you
incredible.
didn't know, he's going to call his 2000th NHL game in 5 days.
So, anyways, this building is beautiful, and but it's always fun to.
It's a
12.
reminisce. It's a full circle moment, Maddie.
1912.
I didn't know Anaheim was an original 6 team, Matt.
You know what's going? Seriously, guys, come on.
But Maddie, serious talk here. Let's be really serious.
Yeah.
Do you remember your first year in the NHL with the Anaheim Ducks, and what do you recall from that?
It was
from that?
amazing. I remember getting the job, and I was just kind of like standing after the interview. I was standing looking at the arena going, holy smokes, this is really going to happen, because I never thought I was going to get to one. But it was great. It was Paul Kariya, it was Teemu Selanne, it was they weren't on the original side of it. Teemu wasn't an original, but I remember when Paul Kariya came to training camp in year 2, and they opened up a couple of sections of seats. And then the fans kept coming in, and they kept expanding where fans could sit to watch the practice. And before you knew it, the whole lower bowl of this building was packed with fans. So the first one's always special. And but trust me, I'm really happy to be in Utah.
Sarah is telling me that my angle is starting to droop like this a little bit. So
More bicep curls, Mikey.
We need to. He's not usually a TV guy. We got to teach him some camera angles and
Okay.
shots.
Are you saying that he has a face for radio?
I didn't say that. You did.
But you know what, Sarah?
we all agree.
At least he tilts it. At least he tilts it for the wide look, right? So. Holy
Camera
all
on
right.
10 pounds,
This-
Maddie.
Look at everybody walking around with their phones. It's like, yeah, taking video like this. No. You take video like this, people.
Matt hasn't discovered Instagram yet.
I
So
know.
we're-
No, that's true. I'm no.
16 by
I
9, buddy.
I don't do Insta.
So don't go follow him at.
Whatever.
Maddie's MySpace is
this has been fun.
Big win.
It was fun tonight. Big win for the Mammoth, and we'll see everybody. Sorry, angle falling again. That's when it's time to go. We'll see everybody Friday in Vancouver.
So the Mammoth get the victory, 7-0. Stuff changes quickly in the National Hockey League. You can go from a 7-game winning streak to November, to Monday night, giving up 6, to Wednesday, shutting out the opposition. It just comes down to details and what we told you, simplicity, and not trying to do too much, and not continuing to press down on that accelerator when you're trying to get through, rush hour traffic, if you will. Not getting aggravated when that car at 85 miles an hour passes you on the freeway and then you speed up past him. And our old pal from the Utah Highway Patrol was at the top of the hill with the gun out to get your radar detection as he patrols to keep our highways safe. If that's an analogy that helps you out with what I think the Mammoth do when they face adversity, that's it. But what changed going from Monday to Wednesday? Well, on Tuesday, for instance, they had a practice day. Their first practice day since the Friday after the first Vegas game. And what happened the day after that Vegas game after they practiced? They came out, they beat the Rangers, they looked great. The next game against Vegas, beat them 5-1. I'm watching the Mammoth on Monday night. I'm thinking this group just needs a practice. And they haven't been able to practice because there's been so many games and there's been so much travel. And one area that this team has had a disadvantage in playing every other day in the back-to-backs, what everybody else is doing in the NHL. But the ratio of games played, road to home. 17 of 28 played on the road. And it's not just the games, it's travel. It's the amount of practice time that you don't have when you're traveling, when you're not at home. Mammoth have had 2 4-game homestands, a one-off, and a 2-game homestand. And they've had a 4-game road trip, 4-game road trip, and a 6-game road trip. So to be able to just have a day to practice, reset, come back out, beat the Ducks, 7-0. It's so valuable. And guess what, folks? We're going to have plenty more where that came from. The lights at the end of the tunnel. After Friday in Vancouver and Saturday in Calgary, the Mammoth have 52 games left. 30 of them are at home. This team has been through it. And I just don't think that we've put enough on that. You know me and my schedules and talking about workload, but I don't think we've put enough on it. And I think that's exemplified by the Mammoth having a simple practice day in Anaheim. Number 2, the lineup. Different lineup. Bill Armstrong made the move, called the guys in Tucson, said, I need Daniil Boot and I need Maveric Lamoureux. And kudos to those coaches in Tucson, because we'll get to Maverick Lamoureux in our third period, but those two were ready to go. And like everybody, on Wednesday night, they were huge parts of that 7-0 victory. So it injects some youth, some tall youth. A 20-year-old who's 6'5" in Boot, a 21-year-old who's 6'7" in Lamoureux, who were being nurtured and developed even more in the AHL, coming up and ready to go. Liam O'Brien was back in the lineup on Wednesday. Utah's now 6-2-1 with Spicy Tuna in the lineup, and he drew a penalty that led to a power play goal. He scored a goal. Big night for Liam. He laid down 6 hits. And just kind of brings up something that's been happening. It's been O'Brien or Yamamoto, largely in part, for most of this year. And it's not an O'Brien versus Yamamoto thing. It's not. This is why it's been O'Brien versus Yamamoto. Because Yamamoto is the last guy who made the team, and O'Brien is your 13th forward. And with the bodies you have, you're not scratching those guys. You're not. That's why it's been O'Brien or Yamamoto. Yamamoto's played 300 plus games in the NHL. He can play in any role. He's versatile, and he helps you win. So does O'Brien. And for the Mammoth, it's been an unfortunate either or to decide who are you putting in. And we get to Wednesday. And Barrett Hayton does not dress, and Brandon Tanev does not dress, and Yamamoto and O'Brien are in. And that's what it came down to. You know, it's been now 28 games, and you have a lot larger sample size than you did late October, early November, when you're deciding whether you're going with O'Brien or Yamamoto. Brandon Tanev not in the lineup. Barrett Hayton not in the lineup. I can say for Barrett, he was sick on Friday night and he did not play. You know, that's being sick and not playing, and then 24 hours later you're playing in St. Louis after travel. That's a pretty big thing. So for him, he's a 20-goal scorer, huge part of the core. He'll be back in the lineup. I can't speak as much for Tanev, because I think that's the guy you take out of the lineup at this point, honestly. Based on production, based on contribution, and O'Brien, besides impact, Yamamoto, always there. ready for the call. But you get 28 games in, 27 games in, and you're ready. Okay, let's make that move. O'Brien deserves to be in. Yamamoto deserves to be in. Barrett, not quite sure you're 100%. Maybe a night or two off would be good. And Brandon Tanev's start to the season, one of 9 players in the NHL that's played 25 or more games that doesn't have a goal. Not that goals are everything, but that's a metric. And you got to win. You got to make adjustments. And head coach Andre Tourigny's made adjustments. And we've talked about him. He's flipped centers, Hayton and Cooley, but Turk on the third line, right? Like, they have done everything possible to try and get things rolling. Speaking of which, JJ Peterka with that number 1 line of Clayton Keller and Nick Schmaltz. Yes, please. As JJ for the Mammoth records a couple for Utah in that contest on Wednesday night. And he had 4 points. He had a season high, 6 shots, and he was absolutely going out there. You see, for those of you on YouTube, power play goal that he scores right here on that beautiful tap, and that made it 6-0. So I love Peterka there with that top line of Clayton Keller and Nick Schmaltz, and got a beauty 5-on-5 to make it a 4-0 game on a nice little touch pass from Maveric Lamoureux as the Mammoth were in the neighborhood. And there's JJ right there to give Utah that 4th one. And they were off and running, and they managed the game great. And we're good in special teams, got a good goaltending performance, a nice win, but the 24-hour rule definitely in effect for this one. The midnight rule. Get that victory, enjoy it, look at what you did good, and move on to Vancouver. Let's hear what head coach Andre Tourigny thought after this contest against the Anaheim Ducks.
Everybody played good. It's we can talk about some guys who made points or Veg who has a shutout, but at the end of the day, the way we get above the puck all the time, and we had number defensively all the time. It's a really good team on the other side. Really tough to play against the way the poise they have with the puck. But the fact we had numbers all the time and we're above them, and we compete, and we got opportunists offensively. So proud of the guys, the way they regrouped, the effort. I think the message was clear, and I think well received. Now, just doesn't mean anything anymore after midnight, so we'll need to focus. Vancouver played really good hockey lately, so we'll need to get ready for them.
Yeah, that's it. Everybody knows it. And it's not just the head coach. It's Ian Cole right here, one of the leaders on this team. And did he lead by example? Multiple points and a franchise high +5 while he was partnered with Maverick Lamoureux in his first NHL game in over a year.
Yeah, I mean, you know, with the way things have gone in the recent stretch, obviously we've been pretty disappointed in how it's gone. You know, this is a good one for us. Obviously, you know, a lot of guys got in the score sheet. Everyone's feeling good. We dictated play for a good portion of the game there. You know, but that being said, like this isn't the end of the year. We didn't win a Stanley Cup, right? The season's not over. This is one game. Just like we, you know, like to say after a bad game, you know, we need to learn from it and move forward. We got to do the same thing with this game. We got to learn from it. Got to improve, move forward. We're going to get a good team in Vancouver in 2 days.
The group that Andre Tourigny really highlighted after the game, you heard him talk about everybody, but as he went on to talk, he talked about that third line, Lawson Krause, Jack McBain, Michael Carcone. They got the scoring started for the Mammoth in the first 6 minutes of the game. And when Lawson Krause scores this goal right here, him and his line has scored 4 of Utah's last 5 goals going back to Dallas. And on YouTube, you see the great feed from Michael Carcone. Krause has 4 points in his last 4, 3 goals and an assist. Carcone, 1 goal, 3 assists, 4 points in his last 5. McBain picked up 2 assists in the contest. He's got 3 points in his last 4 games, but wasn't just the offense. They set the tone. They got things going. Bears said that line's been their heart and soul, but they shut down Anaheim's top line. And again, you talk about a team effort, but those 3, McBain, Krause, Carcone, holding Anaheim's top 3 forwards without anything. And Utah's been great defensively against the Ducks. Second highest offensive team in the NHL in terms of scoring. They've allowed 1 5-on-5 goal to them in 2 games. And that's what makes Utah so exciting, so scary if you're on the other side. 5-on-5, this team shuts you down. And the only way that Utah's given up goals in the last 2 weeks has been offensive zone turnovers, the penalty kills hit some bumps, and the goalies have let in some pucks that are typically saved in the National Hockey League. 5-on-5, Utah's allowed nothing. And really, all year, they've allowed nothing. Nothing's being generated against the Mammoth in the offensive zone in terms of puck possession for the opposition. You can look at everything and say that's on us. And that's the NHL. There's going to be chances. You need your goalies to make saves. You need to minimize mistakes. And you do that by playing simple, staying to your details, and having your goalie have a .900 save percentage. And all of those things happened to a T on Wednesday night. Veggie stopped all 7 shots that he saw. But again, all 27 shots that he saw. But again, for the Mammoth, all hands on deck. They blocked 25 shots in the game, the second most in franchise history against the second best offense in the NHL. Here's Ian Cole again.
It was at the end of that game, you're playing for Veg, you're trying to help him out. He's been so great for us. And, everyone did it all game long. Forwards were doing it, D were doing it. Everyone who ended up in a shot lane was able to get a block. So it's a great team mentality.
Yeah, so for the Mammoth, let's look at block shots from this contest. The stat sheet in this game is awesome. Jack McBain blocked 4 shots. John Marino blocked 3. Mav blocked 3. Dursey blocked 3. Sergachev and Cole all blocked 2 shots. In terms of your forwards, Logan Cooley blocked a pair. Clayton Keller, Dylan Gunther. I'm talking about your skill guys here. Your skill guys and the defense that they played in that Wednesday night game. And, for the Mammoth, it was a team that went out and got 7 goals in the contest as Captain Clayton Keller wrapped up the scoring in that third period. You had 6 different players score goals. You had 6 players with multiple point games. You had 11 players with at least a point. You had 15 players that were on the ice for at least 1 5-on-5 goal. Some great individual offensive performances. We talked about, that third line, McBain, Krause, and Carcone setting the tone. As we watched the highlight on YouTube of your captain Clayton Keller finishing up his 3-point night, but McBain, we told you in terms of what he did. Laid down 7 hits in the game. In terms of Michael Carcone, he laid down 6 hits in the game. It was just a great performance. There was nothing you can nitpick about in that contest for the Mammoth. And you read the numbers like hits and block shots and face-off winning percentage, and it's just as good as the offensive numbers. They just absolutely took it to Anaheim. And Ian Cole, after the game, talked about, individual performances build better team performances.
No, I mean, it's, we got to put, got to go out there and get to work. And that's something we talked about before this game, and everyone did that, right? So everyone's got to take ownership for their individual games. And if we can raise our individual games, we can raise our team game inside of that team structure. And tonight, I think we did a great job of that.
So you look at what a practice day can do. what a quick reset can do when you get a roster that you like and you believe in, and you've seen win 7 games in a row, how quickly you can get things back on track in the NHL when you stick together and push through. And there's honest conversations, right? For the second time in less than 2 weeks. But just being on the ice, a practice, when there hasn't been a lot of practices and basically just games, it allowed this team an opportunity to come back out on Wednesday and get that first one. 2 games left on this trip. Busy one here on Mammoth Daily on this Thursday. Our Thursday Expert Series is coming up next with Nick Olczyk. Again, we throw so many analytical numbers and figures at you. We thought, let's talk about it. Let's simplify this on Mammoth Daily. And then we're going all in. Maveric Lamoureux in our third period is going to make you smile. And so are the numbers we're going to give you on Mavs return to the NHL. So stay tuned. Nick Olczyk. Now we'll be back for the third period after our Thursday Expert Series here on Mammoth Daily.
Let's hear from the experts.
With great pleasure that we welcome into our Thursday Expert Show our very own, and maybe one of the best experts around. That's a big maybe. Our own Nick Olczyk from the TV side of Hockey Night in Utah. Nicky O, thank you for joining us here on Mammoth Daily.
Expert. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's very kind of you, Mikey, but I would never designate myself as an expert on anything other than maybe the best ice cream place or maybe the best steak in Salt Lake City. So maybe we'll get to that at some point. But no, great to be with you guys, and been following what you guys have done on Mammoth Daily very closely. And I just got to start up by saying, with all honesty, I think you guys have done an unbelievable job giving the fans the inside scoops, keeping everybody very well entertained. And yeah, I've laughed a few times when I'm driving in the car listening to the podcast. And there are times where I want to punch the steering wheel, but it's okay. You got to experience both sides of the emotional spectrum.
Nick, let's start off with just analytics and the importance of it for the hockey coaches, the staffs, the players, what they're looking at. And, as the casual fan, they're watching the game and they see it go, and then we'll tell them about high danger scoring chances or slot shots or goals above expected. If we were starting out, just with an analytics 101, would there be a metric that you'd say, watch for this first, let's start with this, and it's important because of this?
It's a very hotly debated topic, AD, because there's so many numbers out there. There's so many stats, some that I think hold no weight, others that I think hold some weight, and some that I think are very comparable in terms of not just one number to another number, but something you can draw a direct correlation from that analytic to something that's going out on the ice. I think the first thing to think of when it comes to analytics is that my belief is that they're there to both ask and challenge questions. I don't think the end-all be-all can be analytics. Just like I don't think the end-all be-all should be the eye test. So when a player is struggling, for example, well, if you look at his numbers, okay, goals, assists, penalty minutes, time on ice, that's one thing. But maybe we dive a little bit deeper and say, okay, well, last game he tried to enter the offensive zone with the puck 5 times and was only a successful clean entry once. Okay, well, that is something tangible that is tracked, successful zone entries. That is something that is tracked. So if you're looking at a player that's struggling, you say, okay, well, aside from just the eye test showing us that he's turning it over, the number can follow that up and bolster that argument, if you will. The one qualm I have with analytics is, you mentioned the goals saved above expected for goalies, or the goals, the expected goals. Most, and by most, I mean the vast majority of analytic models does not take into consideration who's shooting the puck. So, for example, most of the time, a shot from right in front of the net is rated the same if it's Austin Matthews or, with all due respect, Ryan Reeves. That's going to give you the same number. And as we know, Austin Matthews, arguably the best goal scorer, pure goal scorer in the National Hockey League now. And Ryan Reeves, a guy that has had a great career, but hasn't done that by scoring goals. So I think you have to take everything in context, and also understanding that, yes, they have a place, 1,000,000%. I'm all for it. I try to work into the broadcast as much as possible, and we are fortunate enough to partner with the great people over at Sport Logic, headed by Mike Kelly, who does, I think, an incredible job with putting forth these numbers in a digestible way. But just to throw out numbers just to do it, I don't think it does anybody a service. So I do think, AD, my theory is that you need to find a good balance. And while I believe the analytics are important, it's not the end all be all, but they are there to ask questions and to challenge questions and answers as well. So yes, they do very much play a role, but understanding that there are certain ones that you can look at and have a little bit more weight in, as opposed to some that may be a little bit out there.
And I love the way you frame that. And we've heard Andre Tourigny frame analytics in that sense as well, Nick, where, okay, we see a number that maybe jumps off the analytics sheet at us. Let's explore that instead of let's hold a referendum on this one stat. But I'm going to ask you for 4 numbers, Nick. I would like some team numbers and individual numbers. I want some stats that some analytics behind under the hood numbers that maybe you think are great metrics, and ones that you think like I don't put as much stock into this as other people do. But let's start with team side. We look at expected goals. We look at slot shots. We look at gosh, I mean, you could go on down the list, but what are maybe some of the, or maybe one number that you look at it and see like, okay, this typically, not always, but this typically tells me a lot about a team. And this is a number that I personally don't think describes much of what's going on compared to how other people view this number.
I think the first one, I'm always like a bad news first kind of guy, because I just kind of like to get that out of the way. So I think the first one is kind of branching off what I talked about earlier as far as expected goals. There are times where I think expected goals tells a story where a line had a great night. They only scored 1 goal, but their expected goals was 4, meaning that they should have scored 3 more goals than they actually did. Again, that could be so jumbled. It doesn't take into consideration in most models who exactly is shooting the puck, who's getting the scoring chance. So I look at that one very much with a strict eye. That's heavily filtered. I don't just look at the expected goals number. I also look at the personnel on the ice. How many shots did they have? What was their zone time? That type of stuff. How they've been playing lately, so on and so forth. But for team stat on the analytics side, I think 3 numbers that I try to look at, especially for this Utah team, because they're so skilled. They love to hang on to the puck. First one's offensive zone possession time. That's one that I think tells a really big story for not only how much time a team spends in the offensive zone, but how much they get the puck on their stick. So that's kind of like the first number I look at. And then I go to slot passes, meaning that, for those of our newer fans that may not know, the slot is the area. That's where you want to shoot from. That if there was one area you could pick on the ice, you're shooting from the slot. That's just about 2 or 3 feet out from the blue paint, the opposing team's net, and you're trying to get the puck there because at some point the puck has to cross through the middle of the ice. It's got to come through the slot at some point to score goals most of the time. So I look for slot passes, and that's essentially a pass coming from an outside area to the inside of the ice. You want to score goals? You want to be a team that finds the back of the net consistently? You got to play inside hockey. Andre Tourigny has talked a lot about that. What's inside hockey? Moving the puck to the interior of the ice. So slot passes is the first number, and then I look for slot shots. So does a team work it to the middle, and then are they able to get those shots off in an effective manner? You could go down a massive rabbit hole, Mikey, for all the numbers, and we could be sitting here talking until Mammoth Daily in February about what all of those numbers mean and how important they are. But I just think from an offensive side, those are the different numbers, because I think that tells the story of, is the team possessing it in the offensive zone? Are they supporting the puck? Are they winning battles? And then perimeter hockey, it's the easiest type of hockey to defend against, even if you're going up against teams that are highly skilled. But it's how effectively they can not only get to the inside, but can they move the puck there and then get shots off from the most dangerous part of the ice. I think those would be probably the three numbers: zone possession, slot passes, and slot shots. Those would be the three numbers, at least from the offensive side, from a team, that I look at consistently.
How about from individuals? Like, are there individual analytic metrics that you kind of throw out, and then ones that you really look at as like, okay, these are really indicative, or do those align with the team stats you just mentioned?
Yeah, I think there is a certain correlation between team and player. One that I didn't mention for team that I think is very helpful with individuals is, it's called clean zone exits and clean zone entries. Because I think that tells a story of how effective is a player at getting the puck out of their own zone. And then when the puck's on their stick, how much throughout the course of the game, and how efficiently can they enter the other team's zone without turning the puck over? Or, yeah, there's a time and a place to dump it in, absolutely. But if you're looking for more offensive players, probably not going to be a lot of dumping in unless it's a tight game late in the game. You got to play the clock and play the situation, and whoever's on the ice against you, of course. But for individual players, I really do look at successful and clean zone exits. And a lot of that has to do as well with the other teammates on the ice. A guy might get a zone exit, maybe a centerman, but that was because Utah went D to D behind the net. They moved the puck to the winger on the wall, and then the center was in great position, and they were able to get out of the zone. So in a way, that is kind of a team stat. But I look at a guy like a Clayton Keller, a captain of the Utah Mammoth, who is always consistently the leader in zone entries of a clean and efficient way. And that just tells me, if he's going up the ice, he's probably got the puck on his stick. And if he doesn't, someone's going to try to get it to him. And as they're entering the offensive blue line, they're trying to get it into his hands, because he and his teammates know if number 9's carrying into the zone, there's a million different things that can happen. He can take it wide and curl back and look for teammates coming as the cavalry. If the opportunity's there, he could take the puck right to the net, like we've seen him do on a couple different occasions. So a lot of those do, I think, fall into team categories as well. But individually, I'm a big proponent of possessing the puck. And I think those numbers help my analysis in a big way. As opposed to just saying he had a great night and the puck was on his stick and he was making things happen. Okay, well, why did he have an offensive chance? It's because he exited his own zone cleanly by beating a guy one-on-one or just chipping the puck by and going and get it. I think that tells a really important story as well.
Nick, we're so lucky to have you because you played Division I college hockey. You were at the forefront of analytics and understanding them, but you can also articulate them and make it make sense to the casual viewer and listener at home. You went back to NHL Network in December last year and did an altcast for us with some of the experts back there. Tell us about that show and what you all were looking to deliver while you were in the studio with the Mammoth game being broadcast.
Yeah, AD, it was a great experience. It was very eye-opening. I was lucky enough to be on that call with the great NHL Network host, Jamison Coyle, as well as Mike Kelly, someone we talked about a little bit earlier, who heads Sport Logic and is in charge of all their operations there, as well as being a team analyst for the LA Kings. And pretty much anywhere you see analytics and hockey, Mike Kelly is there very much pioneering and at the forefront of it. So just to be with him and to get a chance to learn on the fly from Mike was great. And Jameson is is a heck of a TV personality and a great host, and so good at having an ability to set up the other people he's working with to advance a conversation. But that show in particular, called The Lab, was our first time to have analytics in real time and not just get a post-game report, which of course very helpful for us prepping for the next game, but to see it in real time. And that's player skating speed, both their average speed during the game and maybe the maximum speed that they had. How about also speed bursts over the course of 60 minutes? Guys that have a speed burst between 18 and 20 miles an hour, between 20 and 22 miles an hour, and then over 22 miles an hour. That's another stat that I look at pretty frequently as well, guys, when I look at individuals. Okay, we know Logan Cooley's fast, but to this point in the NHL season, there's only one player that has a higher maximum speed than Logan Cooley, and that's the fastest man I've ever seen on the ice, Connor McDavid. So to be able to see those things in real time and talk about them was a blast. And I think the really fun part that we had was, there's a lot of hardcore hockey fans that know a ton about the game in the state of Utah and that follow the Utah Mammoth. But there is a big group of the fan base that's new, and they wonder, what is this analytics? What's all about it? What's the slot? What's a zone exit? What's an entry? I didn't know guys could skate 20 miles an hour. I was driving 20 miles an hour through a school zone the other day, and just
punching your steering wheel, listening to Mammoth Daily.
Yeah, no, listening to you specifically, Mikey, not AD, just you, Mikey. But just to, I think, to have a greater understanding of what these players are doing in real time, and also tracking shot speed and their total distance of how much they've skated in a game. A guy skated 5 miles in a game, so there's so much there, and I think that was a great opportunity for us, and hopefully have the chance to do a little bit more of that in the future, to put some words behind names to define exactly what the different stats mean, and to do it in real time and to call a game. It was a ton of fun, because immediately, as soon as Logan Cooley went bursting through the ice, up the ice, we knew that he went from 12 miles an hour to 22.75 miles an hour. And that's like, to have that in real time is so impressive. And to bring that to our fans, hopefully they enjoyed it, because it was really a blast to be a part of, and to get an even better appreciation for what these guys are doing, playing the fastest sport in the entire world.
Nick, this has been fantastic. Thank you for peeling back the curtain on how you look at analytics, how us in the hockey world look at analytics. We understand now that you are not just a pretty face. You are much more than that, digging in deep to the numbers and looking at all this great math that brings another level to our game. Nick, thank you so much for joining us here on another edition of Mammoth Daily, and we're excited to continue this next week here on our Thursday Expert segment.
Mikey, AD, always a pleasure, boys, and Mikey, you got a pretty face too, especially after that nice haircut. So we're ready to rock the rest of the year. But appreciate you guys, and thanks for having me on.
Thanks a lot, Nick.
This is Mammoth Daily.
So there's part 2 of 3 with Nick. We'll have him back next week, and we'll talk about being between the benches during Mammoth home games. But let's get back to Maveric Lamoureux. There's so much great to talk about from Mav, who was playing with Ian Cole, and I think Mav was Utah's best defenseman on Wednesday in Anaheim, as he picks up a puck, keeps it moving. He's ultimately going to get it to Ian Cole for the goal, but he was smooth. He let the action come to him. He was simple, but he was heavy. He blocked 3 shots, laid down 2 hits. He was a +4. And what a return for the 21-year-old to the National Hockey League. Played 15 games last year, got hurt, went back to the AHL when he was healthy. I think that's where he was ticketed. Anyway, you saw, okay, this is a kid that needs some more work. And that's the great thing about it, is he goes back down there, spends a year, and the timetable is what it is. For Simashev, we don't know, but it just shows you how much progress you can make when you think you're ready for the NHL, and then you're sent back down. And if you stay focused, keep the attitude that Maverick Lamoureux has and the coaching staff down in Tucson, they are a developing machine. Steve Potvin, the head coach, John Slaney, the assistant coach, who's been an AHL assistant coach for over 15 years after a great career in pro hockey. He is a defensive whisperer for the Blue Liners, and he got Mav ready to come back. How much do you love this kid?
It's always special being back here. It's the best league in the world. It's the place you want to be. So coming back here, well, I'm always going to be like you guys know, always be smiling. I'm just really happy to be here, and it means the world to be here again.
So yeah, great to have him back. But boy, you can just tell the amount of progress and development. He was Utah's best defenseman, and that's a pretty big jump. And playing with Ian Cole, so huge. We talked about Ian Cole's individual game. How about as a D partner on Wednesday night?
He's so good defensively. Like, he blocks so many shots. His sticks is insane. He's been in the league for a long time, so I definitely can learn a lot about him. And I did last year, so definitely being back with him is going to be great. And then I got so much questions I can ask him, and he always has an answer for me. So I definitely can learn a lot from Ian.
Oh, Mav, we could listen to him all day. Thought that'd be a fun third period to send you off with a smile for how great of a kid he is, 21 years old, but boy, what a bright future. And Bill Armstrong saw enough in Tucson and called Mav Lam up and had a great debut for the season, part of a big victory. Folks, it's going to wrap it up for this Thursday Mammoth Daily. Thanks for hanging out with us. Coming up on Friday, Mike and I will get you ready for the game against the Canucks. We've got our Friday free-for-all, and we will be joined by a special guest in our local hockey segment, the president and GM of the University of Utah hockey program that includes 2 men's teams and 1 women's team. Can't wait to talk to AJ on our Friday free-for-all edition. But until then, have a great day, and remember that midnight rule. 7-0 was fun yesterday, but we've moved on to Vancouver. So long, folks.